Lu Sheng bid farewell to Ai Yi, and then went out to find an open space. He took several deep breaths, and then attempted to use will projection from the crystal meditation technique, trying to project the image of the female grandmaster. However, the task proved more challenging than he anticipated. Although he could manage to project a vague outline, it would eventually collapse into the mist, leaving him momentarily disoriented. This failure, however, enlightened him that constructing a projection with psychic power was no easy feat. Picking up some soil off the ground, he marveled at the tangible reality of everything around him. The sensation of the soil slipping through his fingers was too realistic. In contrast to a mere dream, this place felt like a genuine world, except for the absence of hunger. Reflecting on the divine martial tower, if comparing the two worlds to a game, the divine martial seemed more crude and required psychic power from martial artists, similar to asking players to contribute to the programming. In contrast, the dream realm felt more like a AAA masterpiece, matured in every detail. However, this made him think that his understanding of the dream realm was still superficial, and the more he thought he understood, the more doubts accumulated in his mind. Taking a deep breath, he momentarily set aside these thoughts. Picking up a spear on the ground, he prepared to find some powerful Grandmaster zombies to hone his skills a bit more. The trials in the Divine Martial Tower and the follow-up of the Crystal Meditation technique had significantly boosted his overall progress, and he felt ready to assimilate the will of a third Grandmaster. His goal for the day was to find a powerful martial artist zombie and absorb its Grandmaster will. With that being said, he thought he was ready to confront 8th-level Great Grandmaster zombies, but it turned out miserably. Regrettably, facing a Great Grandmaster, Lu Sheng got his ass whooped and was pulled out of the dream realm. It took him a while before he could re-enter. Nonetheless, it seemed he needed to strengthen himself further before challenging a Great Grandmaster zombie. In case you are wondering why Lu Sheng was able to defeat the Great Grandmaster in the 7 Divine Martial Towers, but got his ass whooped by a zombie, that is because the Great Grandmaster zombie is from 10,000 years in the future, where they have many advanced martial art techniques, and thus stronger than the Great Grandmaster in the current era. Returning to the dream world, Lu Sheng immediately sensed a powerful Grandmaster nearby. Soon, the robust figure of a Grandmaster appeared in his sight, holding a massive boulder, seemingly blocking something from breaking in. Even in death, the Grandmaster's hands clutched the boulder, unwilling to let go. Sensing Lu Sheng's presence, the Grandmaster's eyes flickered with a hint of light. Lu Sheng, cautious not to underestimate his opponent, channeled golden internal energy, and flames started appearing from his hands into his spear. He initiated the second stage of the perfect martial path, activating the flame breath technique. Taking a deep breath, the veins bulged outwards from his arm. What followed was the spear flying towards the Grandmaster with incredible speed, its speed so immense that it produced a sharp sound, akin to the tearing of wind. The spear transformed into an almost imperceptible streak of golden light and shot forward. The robust Grandmaster raised one hand to block the powerful strike, easily blocking it. After throwing his spear, Lu Sheng himself turned into a golden gust, charging at the robust Grandmaster. In an instant, he appeared in front of the Grandmaster, applying 20-fold of the stellar body technique, aimed towards the Grandmaster's torso, which destroyed half of the Grandmaster's body. Observing the Grandmaster dissolving into black mist, Lu Sheng pondered for a moment. If the robust Grandmaster wasn't holding the boulder, but rather defended using both of his hands, could he still penetrate his defense? Nonetheless, the robust Grandmaster's defense was the strongest he had encountered so far. He believed that even Tan Zhongwei, in his prime as a Grand Master, could not have breached such a defense. As the Grandmaster's towering figure slowly fell backward, a faint sadness welled up in Lu Sheng's heart. He took a deep breath, pressed his hands together in respect, and softly uttered, "May your spirit be immortal. Let me inherit your Grandmaster's will." Then, a surge of vast memories rushed toward him. He saw a tall but somewhat naive young teen kneeling before an old man, listening to his relentless scolding. The elder tells him that he has no talent and is always a step behind others, unsuitable for practicing martial arts. After hearing this, he was quite upset, however. The young man's expression turned solemn, and he asked his teacher, "What if he works harder than others and starts earlier than them? Would that be enough?" The elder, seemingly surprised by the naive boy's words, sighed deeply, and fell silent. In the next scene, the teen had grown significantly. He was taller and had more muscle on him, standing before the captain of the city guard. Once again, he faced rejection, again due to his innate talent. It seemed he had grown accustomed to such dismissals. But he didn't give up and continued to seek other ways. Fast forward to the next scene, we see him returning home, where he finds his aging mother trembling with anger. She banged the table furiously, incredulous that her son had joined a hunter squad. Tears filled her eyes as she was fully aware of the danger. The hunters often spend most of their time venturing outside of the city, facing the terrifying beasts head-on. The young man scratched his head and gave an innocent smile, reassuring his mother not to worry, and promising that he would survive. The mother, frantic with concern, could only keep tapping on her son's chest. In the following scene, the young man lay on the ground, his body covered in wounds, as others berated him, calling him a fool. They scorned him for attempting to save others while being weak, pointing out that he nearly lost his life and only managed to retrieve a dog tag from the failed rescue. They mocked him, suggesting that he might end up dying at the jaws of a beast in his next outing. But the young man, staring at the blood-stained cloth and holding his comrade's dog tag, seemed to make an unwavering resolve. Silent, yet firm, he clenched the dog tag tightly. In the next scene, the same group of men who had mocked him for years was in disbelief upon learning that the fool they derided had now become a sixth-level martial artist. One of them, with a hint of disdain, commented that it's no surprise given he's constantly battling for his life in the wilderness and training madly upon his return. Another, puzzled, questioned why, despite many in the hunter squad perishing, but the fool continued to thrive. While people whispered and speculated, he, now middle-aged, remained silent, focusing solely on his squat exercises, continuing to enhance his body. In his mind, he repeated over and over again, "I must become stronger, much stronger. Only then can more people have the chance to survive." In the following scene, we are transported to a hospital. The usually composed man rushed to find his wife's ward, his urgency resembling that of a child, incessantly asking the doctor for updates. The doctor led him into the delivery room, smilingly informing him that both mother and daughter were safe and congratulating him on the birth of a girl. Gazing at his wife and daughter on the bed, tears welled up in the man's eyes for the first time, tears of joy and gratitude for the new life, and deep love and concern for his wife who endured the pain of childbirth. He saw his wife, exhausted, sleeping with her head turned towards their daughter, her face radiating happiness and contentment even in her slumber. With tears in his eyes, the man gently lifted his daughter. The infant, wrapped snugly, curiously observed the towering figure before her, a smile gracing her tiny face. She then reached out her little hand, touching her father's finger. A smile slowly spread across the man's face. The resolve in his heart to become stronger intensified, for he knew that only by growing stronger could he forever protect his loved ones. And on this day, he became a Grandmaster. In the martial year 11024, Base 1359 was besieged by a beast attack. Countless beasts breached the defenses and invaded the city. The man, now a Grandmaster, single-handedly defended Gate 27. Even when the wall was breached, he lifted the massive boulders, using all his might to push back the invading beasts. He fought tirelessly until a multitude of beasts overwhelmed him. Yet he never retreated, fighting until his last breath. Lu Sheng's breathing was even and steady. When he opened his eyes, the memories of the robust Grandmaster, Shi Wei, had been fully assimilated. He marveled. Perhaps Shi Wei was a true embodiment of late-blooming talent. Branded as talentless since childhood, and ridiculed as a fool all his life, however, Shi Wei still managed to reach the Grandmaster in his later years. As it turned out, as martial artists age, their blood energy level and physical functions gradually decline, making breakthroughs exceedingly difficult. Yet, Shi Wei not only progressed step by step, but also nearly achieved the level of a great Grandmaster before his death. Given more time, Lu Sheng was convinced that Shi Wei could have become a great Grandmaster, and perhaps even ascended to a 9th-level martial saint, aiming for the 10th level, just like the female Grandmaster, had the beast invasion not altered everything. Lu Sheng was profoundly moved and developed a deep respect for him. Shi Wei's martial path, from beginning to end, was one of protection. In a sense, this resonated with Lu Sheng. Since acquiring the dream realm, he had one goal in his mind, which was to get stronger, stronger than anyone, so he could protect his family and the future of humanity. Like Shi Wei, he was dedicated to guarding everything he cherished. Shi Wei excelled in palm and fist techniques, mastering both in the control realm. To compensate for his innate shortcomings, Shi Wei dedicated decades to relentless practice. This was a perfect match, since Lu Sheng had always had a special fondness for fist techniques and preferred unarmed combat. He then turned around and casually struck behind and astonishingly obliterated several tardigrades. Whoa! I'm pretty sure he is the next One-Punch Man. Lu Sheng turned his attention to the essence of Shi Wei's martial will in his hand. Curious about what was inside, suddenly, a memory surged into his mind. In a trance, Lu Sheng seemed to see a figure as majestic and expansive as a mountain range, standing between heaven and earth. Shi Wei, standing between, lifted an entire mountain range with one hand, emitting an aura more stable and imposing, and perhaps he became part of the mountain itself. The figure then raised his other hand, cradling a streak of golden light. At the same time, a technique formed in Lu Sheng's mind. He envisioned a Buddhist deity, holding a purple diamond in the air with both hands. Several images of Buddhist scriptures appeared in Lu Sheng's mind. This grandmaster technique was named Rabuta's Mountain Toss. Lu Sheng's eyes brightened, and he slowly stood up. He shifted to the earth-breathing technique. In an instant, Lu Sheng felt as if he was connected to the ground beneath him, beneath his feet. It seemed like infinite roots anchoring him firmly to the ground. He brought his hands together. Then he became Chairman Netero. Lu Sheng slightly exerted force with his hands, as if there was a figure connecting heaven and earth appearing behind him, lifting the entire sky. At that very moment, the ground beneath him cracked and crumbled. Lu Sheng lowered his hands, and the illusionary figure gradually dissipated. Feeling the Grand Master's will of Shi Wei, Lu Sheng realized he might have underestimated him. Even Tan Zhongyue, who later became a martial saint, was not as powerful as Shi Wei during his Grandmaster phase. Regardless, Shi Wei had become his third Grandmaster will. Regrettably, Lu Sheng had reached the limit of what he could absorb. He sensed that following the progression method of the stellar body technique should allow him to smoothly step into the Grandmaster realm. However, he had a premonition that doing so might immediately disrupt the internal balance of his body. The most likely outcome would be that the new Grandmaster's will would either devour or expel the other Grandmaster's wills. Each of the three Grandmaster wills was important to him, and while the stellar body technique was created by Wang He, one of the most powerful 11th level martial artists, Lu Sheng wanted to learn his technique, but however didn't wish to tread the same path as he did. He didn't want his limit to be at the 11th level. He aspired to go further beyond. Gazing at the stars in the dream realm's sky, he was uncertain about his next steps. He needed to find a solution that would allow his own Grandmaster's will to coexist with the others. For the time being, Lu Sheng continued to roam the dream realm, becoming familiar with Shi Wei's Grandmaster techniques. As we approached the second day, after a night of contemplation, he still hadn't found an answer. Rather than confining himself to the dream realm, Lu Sheng decided to go out for a change of pace, switching to the wind-breathing technique. He swiftly navigated the bustling streets, his figure almost imperceptible to the passers-by who only felt a breeze whisk by. Looking around, Lu Sheng realized he had never really explored the capital since his arrival. Reaching a park, he noticed two elderly men playing chess. Curiosity piqued. Lu Sheng stopped to quietly observe the game. One of the men was laughing, evidently holding the winning position, while the other, a bald elder, appeared somewhat agitated. Observing the chessboard and the two opposing factions engaging in battle, Lu Sheng saw a resemblance to the different Grandmaster wills within him. He watched intently as one elder captured the other's piece, triumphantly declaring, "Checkmate!" The sight of one chess piece overtaking another sparked something in Lu Sheng, but the revelation remained elusive. Suddenly, his stomach growled, reminding him that he hadn't eaten since the day before. He walked into a noodle shop and ordered a bowl of jjajangmian. The shop was run by a middle-aged couple, where the husband busied himself in the kitchen while the wife managed the front, also keeping an eye on their two well-behaved children watching TV. When the mother urged her children to sit further away from the screen, worried about their eyesight, it reminded Lu Sheng of his own mother's similar admonitions. Reflecting that his university life would soon conclude after beating all 7 divine martial towers, he decided it was time to visit his family sometime soon. As the shop owner served the steaming bowl of jjajangmyeon, adding a complimentary boiled egg for him, Lu Sheng expressed his gratitude. The smile on his face wasn't just for the delicious meal. It was the spark of inspiration reigniting in his mind. He envisioned his own perfect martial will was like a perfect circle, embracing diverse strengths and achieving seamless integration, flawless and complete. As he tucked into his noodles, the foundational outline of his grandmaster took shape, a blend of the different wills, not clashing but complementing, much like the diverse ingredients in his bowl coming together to form a delightful dish. The circle, a symbol of perfection, resonated deeply with Lu Sheng's philosophy of the perfect grandmaster path. Feeling that he was on the verge of getting somewhere, his mood lifted substantially, and so did his appetite. He quickly ordered 5 more bowls of noodles. The shop owner, delighted to see such a hearty appetite, commented that Lu Sheng must also be a martial artist. He proudly mentioned that despite the small size of his noodle shop, it was frequented by many, including martial artists, and some of them were even 3rd-level and 4th-level powerful martial artists, who would go out of their way to eat there. Lu Sheng smiled and generously praised the food, promising to visit often as well. As the owner served the next 5 bowls and added a sunny-side-up egg as a treat, he joked that Lu Sheng should bring his girlfriend next time. Lu Sheng's mood brightened further, finding the round shape of the egg delightful. What do you think is on Lu Sheng's mind right now? Anyway, for the first time, he truly appreciated the beauty of circular forms. As he was savoring this realization, the 2 children watching TV suddenly stood up, mimicking the actions they saw on the screen. Lu Sheng glanced over and saw that the animated superhero battling monsters, perhaps a rip-off of the Ultraman series. The boy, with a fist raised, joyfully declared that the monster was about to be defeated and that the superhero in his rage form was the strongest. The girl immediately countered, insisting that the frost form was actually the strongest. This scene sparked a thought in Lu Sheng. The children's debate over the strengths of different forms mirrored his own contemplation of integrating diverse grandmaster wills. His eyes locked onto the cartoon on the TV, and Lu Sheng's mind relentlessly replayed the scene where the rip-off Ultramans transformed between rage and frost, sparking a whirlwind of thoughts. To an onlooker, it might have seemed he was utterly engrossed in a children's cartoon, but in fact, Lu Sheng was brainstorming. The outline of his perfect grandmaster path was beginning to emerge more clearly.